those voices in my brain. And baby, they're saying I'm insane. You know you are alive, baby. Can't look me in my eyes. Yeah, baby, you got me on the run.
When I was 4 years old, I was living outside Chicago, Illinois, and my mom was cleaning the house, and I was bouncing around on the couches in the living room. My mom wanted me to stop roughhousing, so she put on our TV, and we only had like 4 channels at that time. It was the UHF, VHF, where you had the rotary dial, and she put on the only show that came in clear, and it was WWF, the Big League Superstars. And I got to watch Dusty Rhodes, and then in that episode they also had the reason why I always wanted to be a professional wrestler. Hulk Hogan was on the show, and so there at 4 years old, before I even started kindergarten, I knew that I wanted to be a professional wrestler. Cut to 12 years later, I was living in Southern California, and I had the opportunity, and I took full advantage of it. I got to train at the legendary School of Hard Knocks in San Bernardino, California, and was able to start chasing my dream of being a pro wrestler. And I got to learn from so many people and grow so fast in this industry. And to the point where I was even the American champion in the Empire Wrestling Federation, and that was the home league for the School of Hard Knocks. My mentor, legendary Jesse Hernandez, was like a second father to me. He trained me and he helped me in so many ways in this industry. And I was the American champion on September 11th, 2001. Emotionally, I was in a battle because I had come from a military family in the sense of I have many uncles, cousins, who had served, grandfather had served and whatnot, and I couldn't just sit by and not address this. It was literally eating me alive. So I made a very hard decision at 20 years old of putting the wrestling dream on hold, and I enlisted in the United States Army, which was weird coming back thinking about it, but I feel, and I still feel to this day, that that was the right thing to do. So I departed, and this is, going into this, I had wrestled at this time in Mexico. I had wrestled all around the Southwest United States, all over California. I was really in the full zone of trying to chase the dream of being a pro wrestler and eventually ending up on national TV with the big leagues. And I, after weeks, literally weeks of contemplating, I made a decision to put that on the side for a little bit and go serve my country, because that's what needed me more than anything at that time. So Dynamite is a name I've gone by since I was 16. When I started, I was training with one of my best friends, Brandon Gatson, and we were high flyers. We loved the Rockers. At that time, in this day, when we were training, the big tag team was the Hardy Boys. So we were kind of like a hybrid of both. When we do our moves, they really liked how we popped. They said it was like an explosion going off. And so running with that, I went by the marquee of Dynamite. Dynamite is a good guy, blue collar, hard worker dude that will do backflips, that will do roaring elbows like you see in Japan, that will super kick. He's just your good guy that will go through hell to win the championship, to represent the people in a good way. So Dynamite still has power moves. He still goes over the top with selling. He wants to give the crowd the reason to get on their feet and cheer. I've always held it wrestling in the spectrum of when you do a pro wrestling show, you will never ever go right to the big leagues without any experience. You have to always do those shows where there's 6 people. When I won the American title in the EWF, my first title I ever had, literally 8 people were in the audience. And it was in the back lot of this office building parking lot in Southern California. And I was told by Jesse Hernandez, my mentor, and I keep it to this day, these people who come watch these pro wrestling shows, some of these people may have $60 to their name, and they're taking them and their kid to go watch you wrestle, and they're going to buy food, and they may buy a souvenir. They may have $60 to their name. They're about to spend $30 of that $60 on you. Times are tough. People are getting laid off left and right. Money doesn't go like it used to. You need to make sure you go out there and give them their money's worth, because at the end of the day, you are helping people get away from their lives and enjoy this thing that we call pro wrestling for just a little bit, and let them escape and go into imagination. Let them be entertained. But it's their hard-earned money that they are choosing to sacrifice to watch you wrestle, and you better give them a good show. And that is what Dynamite always strives for. So this one mission in particular, we were picking up a couple guys, and one of them, it was their first day in theater, and we were coming up on right outside Samara, Iraq, and this IED went off, hitting the vehicle of my boys Solly and Harding, Mike Solomon and Robert Harding, and it hit the passenger side where Harding was at, and it tore the meat from his arm from like right here down to like right here, and completely shut down the vehicle. And that was the first time, like I was knew that we were getting engaged by the enemy. Like, it hit Harding in his arm. It hit another guy like literally right between the brain lobes, right here, $1 million shot. It hit another guy in the vehicle in the back of the 5-ton. There's blood everywhere, and we were able to get all these injured people out of there, and are directly credited with saving their lives. And that was intense because like my Robert Harding was my leader at that time. He had been my chief for 6 months, and now he was gone, and I never saw him again for another 14 months, I want to say. And we had to keep going. You know, we had to get that vehicle out of there. We had to complete our mission and keep going. But then it turned into, you know, IEDs wouldn't stop. These pot shots wouldn't stop. Mortars wouldn't stop. I was 23 years old, and now I was a squad leader as an E4, and just got nominated for the Bronze Star. And we were on this mission, and we were cruising through a really bad area in Bakwaba, and I vividly remember these kids playing soccer maybe 10 feet from the highway we were on, and this IED goes off, and it was, I don't know what it was. It was daisy chained, which means there's more of them, one connected. But it was just a thunderous explosion, gray smoke everywhere, And I remember looking over, and where these 4 or 5 kids were playing soccer, there was absolutely nothing there anymore but blood. Just blood everywhere, and ripped body. And we had to keep going to keep the mission going. And this stuff never, ever let up. There were so many times where we would come back and somebody else would roll out and they would get attacked and they would have 3 or 4 people die, or we would go out and we would get ambushed, or we would go out and somebody in front of us got ambushed and we ended up helping them out. It was just, there was always something going on, and it never ever stopped. And it just eats at you, it wears you down to the point where you're so callous to the death, the hurt, the chaos, everything that comes along with what you see. You just got to keep going. And I tried to block it out. I did a very good job blocking it out. I focused on the gym. I focused on pro wrestling, trying to make myself better, because I was always in the mindset of, when my time in the Army is done, I'm going to go back and I'm going to be in the big leagues, and that's going to be that. And I'll help my veterans where I can, and everything will be good. It gets at you. It gets at you. And that was just in there. You know, you come back home and you start pondering the survivor's guilt stuff of, like, why wasn't I taken and not them, you know? Because there was a lot of, I mean, these people, men and women, both families, great career aspirations in their life, and it was cut short. And here I am coming back and I'm alive, and it kind of like, it's hard to make sense of it all, you know, at times. It made readjustment very difficult, because you think about all that you lost, and you think about your friends' funerals, or just somebody in your unit who you unfortunately didn't know that well, but he or she passed on. You go to their funerals, and you know, when they render that final salute, and you got the fallen cross, the battle soldier, the battle cross, or the fallen soldier memorial, however you want to call it. And you're looking at it and you're like, these people will never come home again, you know, and we're home and we made it. And then you find out that some of your boys can't handle it and they take their lives, and accidents happen and you lose other friends, and it's like the death never stops, and it just constantly eats at you and picks at you, and it overwhelms you at times if you let it, you know.
And Mr. Bufftacular!
My name's Eddie Witter. I am an Army combat veteran, professional wrestler, and a 5-time Jiu-Jitsu world champion. So I had this idea. It was based off of Captain Spaulding from the Devil's Rejects and House of a Thousand Corpses, to do like a clown makeup with my gimmick, because one, nobody's ever been a buff clown. There's never been anybody who was in shape that was a clown character ever in the history of wrestling. Everybody was either dumpy, or they would wear like full clothes and they would just be a clown. So it's like, well, I had this idea. What if I was a clown, but I wasn't a clown, but I was just like fucked up from being at war? Like basically kind of the idea of the Joker from the Batman Begins, where he was a PTSD veteran, and that's why he did all the stuff that he did, because he just wanted to see the world burn, because nobody cared about his buddies getting killed. So that was the backstory I had in my head for my character, is that I was a particular time in my life where I had just heard about a bunch of my friends dying and getting really messed up in Iraq, and nobody cared. It wasn't on TV, it wasn't anything. I think the big story at that time was that some celebrity chipped your toenail or something like that, or something messed up, and everybody really cared about this celebrity dying. They didn't care that four of my friends got murdered in Iraq so that they could not be terrorized at home. And I was thinking to myself, like, whoa, what can I do with It's all the things that I want to say, but because I'm wearing clown paint, nobody gives a shit. There'd be a guy standing there and be like, hey, you know what? Your fat girl's gonna get all hot watching a real man, then maybe you'll get lucky tonight, because God knows I don't want her. And I'll walk off. And they're like, wait, what? Because then they're all confused because clowns don't talk like that. So yeah, and then just, you know, it's like basically an excuse to say all the stuff that I want to say, but nobody cares because I'm wearing clown paint. Really hit or miss. Either people really, really like it or people really don't like it. And I think it's really because there's a lot of people are scared of clowns. I'm a professional mixed martial artist. I'm an international jiu-jitsu competitor, and I'm a pro wrestler. I prefer MMA because it's easier on my head. I love pro wrestling. Pro wrestling is amazing. It's a lot of fun. You get to connect with your fans and you get to connect with people, and you have this connection that you can't get in MMA because you're too busy worrying about disabling this other guy. I loved being in the military. I loved doing all the military stuff, so I needed to go back to active duty. So I'm like, but I don't want to be in a hospital. That's like the worst job for a combat medic, is being in a hospital, because it's not a combat job. It's basically sticking thermometers up people's butts and wiping noses kind of job, and I want to kick indoors and shoot people. Go to active duty, go to Fort Lewis, and they're handing out, we're at reception, and they're handing out jobs. Second ID, second ID, second ID, second ID, combat sport hospital, second IDs. I'm like, what the fuck? So as soon as my name fell into that unit, that was it. I was fenced. I couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything, couldn't transfer, couldn't volunteer for deployments, even though I volunteered for like 6 or 7 of them. I just wanted to go. I wanted to go do war shit, because I was like, well, that's what I joined the Army for, so why not? We get our orders to deploy, and I'm like, woohoo, deployment, all that bullshit. We go over, and we were stationed in Tikrit, Iraq, working at the cache there, Combat Sport Hospital there on Cox Spiker. And that was right after the surge, so it was early 2009. That's when we started getting a lot of explosively formed penetrators and RKG-3 anti-tank grenades, which for anybody who doesn't know what those are really, really bad. They're made to kill any tanks really. So when they hit an armored vehicle, they throw molten copper at basically the speed of sound through a vehicle. And anything fleshy that's in the way instantly gets vaporized and cauterized. So even when we would find people's limbs, we really couldn't do anything to reattach them, because there'd be 3 or 4 inches of skin missing in between, and that was really it. You couldn't do anything with it. And basically, you get a guy come in, no arms, no legs, and what are you gonna do? And that was when the first mass casualty came in. I think it was something like that, 2 or 3 weeks. We had a dude, 4 guys came in, and the first one had no arms and no legs, and was missing one of his eyes, and he had a giant laceration on his neck, but because he lost so much blood, his neck wasn't bleeding because of all the blood that he lost from his arms and legs getting blown off. Our deployment was a lot like that. PTSD for me, the way it manifested in me is, it all started with I was a combat medic, right? So we're supposed to save everybody. And I was a big brother. I had 2 sisters and an older half-sister that I didn't really live with, but I always felt like I needed to be there for people. I always felt like I needed to try to help people, save people, you know. And so I guess that kind of manifested in my ability or me wanting to be a combat medic. And then so when I was in the military, everybody who I ever cared about in the military, all my friends, everybody who I ever cared about died where I couldn't help them. Whether the situation was they were on the other side of the planet, I wasn't there. No matter what happened, when my friends died, I couldn't be there for them. So PTSD comes from a position of being helpless in some form or fashion, where you are helpless to change a situation, and that causes a psychic trauma to your mind, right? And if you talk to anybody who has PTSD, something came down to a moment where they were helpless. They're getting mortared, they're getting attacked, something. And between my friends dying and me not being able to be there for them and watching people die while we're working on them and can't do anything, they're gonna die no matter what I do. I do everything I can, they're still gonna die. That's where it came from for me. So that gave me this feeling of being expendable, and that no matter what I did, I was always gonna be on the short end of the stick, no matter what I did. So that was how it manifested to me. And me personally, I have this, it's kind of evolved into I don't care what people do to me. I will fight through broken bones. I will fight through torn ligaments. I will fight through being sick. I will fight through having... There's anybody who's ever talked to me knows this whole list of things that I fought through, whether it's broken neck, torn cartilage between my ribs, torn rotator cuffs, torn MCLs, broken fingers, broken toes, broken nose. That doesn't matter. I don't care enough about me to stop when I'm hurt, but I know that you care enough about you to stop when you're hurt. So I will keep going until you stop. That's how I've always been. In jiu-jitsu and MMA and pro wrestling, I will keep working. I don't care. When I get done, yeah, I'll suck later, but right now, I can take it more than you can. So that's kind of how it manifested to me, where I don't really care enough about myself anymore to care when I'm hurt. And so that's part of why I work out the way I do. 2 or 3 times a day, 6 days a week, go to the gym and try to break myself into a little muddy puddle of sweat and pity or whatever. And that's how I deal with it. I have a lot of anxiety. I don't like taking the medicine that they gave me. That's why I go to the gym and do what I do. I lift weights and I work out and I do pro wrestling and I have these outlets for all this aggression and stress and anxiety that I put into things that are positive. Maybe being a meathead isn't a positive thing, but I treat it as a positive thing because it keeps me from doing other dumb shit. So that's it. And then you have to find somewhere to put all that stress and anxiety. And that's the part that people don't understand, is that we get there and it's good. You're never going to be the same. That once it happens, that's it. You're never going to be the same. Maybe you deal with it, maybe you won't, maybe you shoot yourself in the face. But you're never going to be the same person. So you have to figure out, okay, now I'm this person. What am I going to do being this person?
Mr. Spectacular, Bryson Scott!
Who is Mr. Spectacular? It was actually it came off the top of my head one day, I'm young, somewhat, I'm 28, but I think I'm fairly attractive. I'm very charismatic, so I knew that coming off the get, I hadn't really had much of a gimmick for 8 years of wrestling. I never really went off gimmicks. I was a Chris Candido kind of guy, no gimmicks needed, and it wasn't really working for me. I was working very small promotions, not working every weekend like I wanted to, and then I was like, all right, it's time to reinvent myself. Matt Hardy could do it with the broken Matt Hardy thing. Now it's time to do it with myself, and boom, Mr. Spectacular. I'm not sure exactly where it came from, but it popped into my head, and I just ran with it. And it's evolved into a big brand now, I'm giving out hotel key cards at shows. Like, I'm God's gift to women, but I've got the best woman I could ever have, so, but it's all a gimmick, it's all a brand, and I'm just having fun with it, I can't thank my wife enough for being supportive of the gimmick, giving me different ideas, She's been doing this so long that she knows what works, what doesn't. I started wrestling in August of 2007. I got into wrestling because as a kid growing up, my dad wasn't around much. He was always on the road between working construction and then also trying to live the life as a professional wrestler. And then anytime I did get to see him, we were watching wrestling or I was at a show with him. And that it made me feel close to my dad. So once I had the chance to become a wrestler myself and just live out the dream, try and make a name for myself, be larger than life, I wanted to take that opportunity. As I said, I've been investing a lot of money in myself, and with that, it's seminars and clinics and stuff like that, trying to learn more from people that have made millions of dollars in this business, have gone over many countries and stuff like that. I just not too long ago I did one with Matt Hardy at NAWA in Ennis, Texas, and I've learned so much from Matt Hardy. I can't push seminars enough on some of the young guys coming up. Seminars are what's gonna make and break you. Seminars is gonna make you get better. Yes, you paid to train, but then seminars, I'm 9 years in. I'm still paying hundreds of dollars for seminars just to get better. Because I want the Mr. Spectacular brand to be a household name. See, I joined the military and went to basic in March of 2010. From March 2010, I went to Fort Knox, Kentucky. While I was in Iraq, we had 237 rockets shot at us from enemy between Iran infiltrates into Iraq, Iran supporters in Iraq, or just ISIS in general, shooting rockets at us. We had 237 of them shot at us. In April of 2011, even before Sergeant Tyler Montez passed away, we were out on a patrol mission in downtown Alamara province, and as we were getting a person of interest, he was the United States delegate. He was like the rank of a 2-star general, but he was like a senator. As we were getting him into the MRAP, we had a sniper take fire at us, and I had a AK-762 round going between my legs and hit the tire well of the MRAP. Probably the scariest thing I ever went through in my life, besides the 237 rockets. But I never told my wife until, I never told her. One of my best friends that I went to Iraq with told her, and she's like, "So you're saying we could have never had kids?" Yes, but I didn't want to tell my wife that, because that was, instead of dying and all that was my biggest fear. Never having a family, never having anybody to be proud of me, to be happy of what I accomplished, to push me to be a better person. That was my biggest fear, not having any of that. And to be able to look at what I have today and then think of what I went through, I can't thank my battle buddies and my platoon enough that I went to Iraq with for keeping me safe and keeping my head above water and just taking care of me over there. My family means the world to me. Everything that I do, right now I go to school full time. Between that and wrestling, it's all for them. I just want a better life for them. You know, we live in Killeen, 2-bedroom house right now because I just got out of the military a year ago. Haven't had the funds to move anywhere else. And I just want to provide a better life for them. Get them the house that they deserve. Get them the education they deserve. Pro wrestling's helped me so much in regards to dealing with my PTSD, because sometimes I get real stressed out at home, or just throughout the day I'll get stressed out, and just, if I could sit back, take all that stress and put it towards wrestling, put it towards trying out a new move, coming up with a new move set, coming up with different ideas for new designs or gimmick ideas. The future holds, I don't even know right now, you know? Right now I'm blowing up as a brand, blowing up as a performer. I'm just trying to get my name out there. I want people up in like Philly and Maine and LA, I want all of them to know who Mr. Spectacular Bryson Sky is. I want them to hit up their promoters and be like, "Yo, you need this guy on your show. Look at him. He's entertaining, he can wrestle, and he's just fun to have. He's just fun to be around, you know?" That's what I want. I want people to have fun, have a good time, and be able to relate to me.
but you come back and people want to congratulate you for being a hero or tell you how proud of them of you, but they don't know what you've been through. Most of them don't. It's just such a big disconnect to where you don't know how to deal with this, and it was getting to me so bad. It was the PTSD was such a deconstructive lifestyle for me. I felt myself spiraling out of control, where I would just start fights in the bar because I didn't care. I boxed in the Army. I'd been through combat. I didn't care about living or dying. I'd punch whoever. I'd give a flying fuck. I didn't care about authority. I didn't care about relationships. I was just growing so distant with everything.
My advice for somebody with PTSD, well, don't try to be brave and work through it. Admit that you have a problem. Work towards figure out what your triggers are, and pushing yourself towards what you need to do to get yourself to where you're functional again. Don't let it wreck your relationships.
It really hit me one day where my daughter was, although not directly seeing this, she was catching that something wasn't right. And I really was a punch to the gut about how am I going to let what I went through in Iraq define me or destroy me. And using my kids as motivation, I decided, you know what, I got to get this in the right foot. And so I started eating healthier. I stopped my drinking. I started working out more, and I got back in the focus of, you know what, pro wrestling was always there for me. Pro wrestling was such a fun experience, such an expressive experience. I can go out there and I can exercise these demons. I can cut promos and get people to hate me. I can do stuff to make people love me. I can go use all these demons that are built in my head, and I can work out, and I can do MMA, and I can kill them like that, all built around putting on the spandex and getting in the ring and giving the men and women who pay their hard-earned money to come watch us a great show. And that kind of started a snowball effect of what I was gonna do.
Just don't let it wreck your life and dealing with, and the way you deal with people. We can get through it. You just have to not be an asshole. You have to understand, you're not the same guy you were when you left. You gotta understand also that you're never gonna be that guy again. You're gonna be somebody similar, but you're never gonna be that guy again. So you have to understand how to relate to the world as this new person, and you have to deal with it and understand that, look, I'm gonna have things my whole life that are gonna bother me. My dad.
Living a real structured lifestyle to do what I can, because I want to see my daughter and my son see me on TV doing wrestling on a national stage and not an unfunctioning person because I can't handle what I've been through. And that was a decision I had made in 2006, and I rolled with it. I got to wrestle on a national stage. I got to go wrestle all around our country. I got to meet a lot of great people. And on top of that, I got to network with other veterans. I can think of a half a dozen other veterans who have been in combat that are now doing this and have that same thing that I do. And I like that, because if I can get on a bigger stage and put this message of PTSD is a shitty thing, it's an absolute shitty thing, but there's so many people that are so productive and are good people out of it, it really can hopefully eventually end that stigma of you can't do anything with PTSD.
We casually talked about, we were in the middle of making this documentary, Valhalla Club, trailing 3 combat veterans readjusting to society using pro wrestling.
Whether it be from combat, from rape, from personal assault, you know, there's so many people who have done amazing things that have went through shitty things And I want to make sure that the men and women who serve in this military who have this, especially those who are in combat, get that positive look that, hey, no, they can do amazing fucking things no matter what industry you want to put them in.
You gotta hold it and do it in a way that you're using this anxiety and this things in a positive way, where you're pointing in the right direction. And that way it does something other than just sit in your stomach and make you feel like a piece of shit. That's why I work out. That's why I wrestle. That's why I fight. That's why I do the things I do. It doesn't matter what everybody else wants to do. It's what I want to do. And that's what it is right now. I want to be the best me that I can be. And it just so happens that I'm good at fighting.
That's what wrestling's done for me. It's given me an out for the PTSD. It's given me somewhere to take all that negative energy that I get from it and just put it somewhere creative. And instead of just bottling it up and blowing up on my family or just going off and being alone, I can use it for more positive ways. You know, not only for me and my family, but for kids and adults attending the shows or watching videos or anything. Pro wrestling has helped so much. Just taking all that negative energy and negative thoughts inside my head of, do I want to keep dealing with this? Pro wrestling's always given me a place to go to deal with it all and just be creative with everything.
So yeah, you gotta find your outlet. You gotta understand. Sometimes you need to go and you need to sit with your friends and complain and bitch and moan and talk about all the shit that's fucked up in your life and you hate. But okay, got it. But don't sit and dwell on that shit, because you know what? It's still gonna suck. It's still gonna be miserable. You put it in that box, it'll stay there. Then you deal with it when it's like, hey, look, hey, I'm bummed out. Okay, I got time. Box of shit. Okay, over it. Productive again. You know, maybe I'm unique. I don't think I'm unique or special or anything. I'm just a fucking asshole. But that's part of the thing you need to be able to do is put it in a fucking box and deal with it when you need to deal with it. Because you can't fucking drag that shit around with you all the time.
And every now and then it comes back to me, you know, when I'm in the gorilla, as it's called, before I go out into the ring, I always take a minute and I think about all the death. I think about my friends who aren't here anymore. I think about my friends that committed suicide. I think about my friends who just died randomly. I think about how many times I was 30 years old and I've been to funerals for guys 20 years old and so. And I just am grateful for I'm here and I'm about to do something fucking positive and badass because they can't. And that's why I gotta keep doing this shit.